Hello, Steve Mills here, and it's great to be back on my podcast all about how to get better results from your sales and marketing. And today, the subject is why your marketing is not working. Why is it not working? I've got a gentleman with me today called Lee Gilbert. Now, Lee and I have known each other for many, many years. We work together, Lee in his business, me in mine. And Lee's somebody that I go to when I don't know what to do. He's an unusual mix of talents, actually, I'd say, in so much that he's very, very technical and knows and understands the technology behind today's modern digital marketing. And he's also a real sort of master at online, digital, almost everything. And I spend a lot of my time, as many of you know, learning from what I call the leading experts in the world and in the UK in terms of marketing. And Lee's definitely someone that I go to when I want to know about new technology, new ideas, and new ways in which I can market myself, but also who I go to when, do you know what, my marketing's not quite creating the results that I would like. So welcome to the conversation, Lee. It's great to have you here. I think this is the first time we've ever done this, so thank you ever so much for being here.
Yeah, hi Steve, great to be with you.
Good stuff. So in answer to that sort of first point, why marketing or why people's marketing is not working, what are your thoughts around that, Lee?
I've been doing marketing and digital marketing for 20 years. And although a lot of things in that time have changed, we've seen huge parts of the technology and various platforms and strategies evolve and change and develop, and new things come on stream during that period. But some of the same old mistakes have always been there. They've always been present. They never change. So despite the fact that when I started doing digital marketing 20 years ago, against the backdrop of the days when we were receiving CD-ROMs through our letterboxes with FreeServe and America Online on them.
Yeah. I remember that well. And before that, cassettes, Lee, I remember that. I'm old enough to remember that.
During that whole period, we've obviously seen things start, such as YouTube in 2004, Google Ads around that time as well. Before that, we had other ways of doing pay-per-click and search marketing and email marketing, but they're obviously big things now. And of course, in the last 10 years, we've had the era of social media.
Yes.
Facebook has come on. But part of the social media platforms have obviously come and gone, like MySpace, for example. So we're always in a space now of change and constant change. But as I said, throughout that whole period, there's really been two things that have caused a lot of marketing campaigns to not work, or to stop working when perhaps they did work for a short time in the beginning. And those reasons, regardless of that background and all that technology and different platforms coming on and off stream, have never changed. And for me, they're two really simple ones, and I just think we should just keep them quite simple at this stage. But the first one is, and before I go through both of them, I think it's also worth adding that on face value, both of these mistakes seem like common sense.
Yeah.
They seem obvious. But the truth is, despite working with small to medium to large businesses for 20 years in loads of different sectors, despite the common sense, they're not common practice.
Yeah.
In so much as even people with huge multi-thousand and in some cases million marketing budgets, they're still making the mistakes even though they should know better. But equally, a one-person business or a small business will also make the same mistakes. And there's two of them for me. One is not truly understanding who your target customer is.
Okay, yeah.
And that mistake can often cost you lots of money, because you'll go down lots of different rabbit holes, pursuing different avenues, perhaps choosing the wrong marketing platforms because your target customer doesn't necessarily spend their time on that as much, or they're mobile versus them being in an office. All of those things make a difference, or they work more later in the day rather than in the middle of the day. So knowing your customer is more than just about knowing who they are in terms of their job title and their geography and their age. It's more also about knowing their behaviour and their interests, the pain, the problems, the challenges that they've got, so that then you can try and connect and relate and engage with that. Top line, that's the first major challenge, not knowing the customer, the target customer, well enough so you put a campaign together that's sustainable and profitable and engages well. The second mistake that people make is offering too much choice. And there's the old phrase in marketing that are confused buyer never buys. Mm-hmm. That's never been more true than in digital marketing. When that first came out as a phrase many years ago, the world was a more traditional, non-digital space. And even then, a confused buyer never buys. But if you think about the world we live in now, with lots of messages hitting us more and more every second, let alone every minute.
Yeah.
In our busy lives that are laden with a lot more technology and exposure than they were many years ago. A confused buyer never buys is a far greater reason for a problem now than it ever has been. But in a digital environment, lots of companies are very guilty of offering far too much choice and causing too much noise or conflicting noise in their offer, and not having enough clarity about what their offer is, so that their customers truly understand what they stand for, who they service, what they're offering. And during then the sales process or the lead generation process, where the companies are trying to reach out to their marketplace, their web pages might be very busy and cluttered and not have a clear set of call to actions. I like to talk about the concept of most wanted action versus call to action, because most wanted action is what's the number one thing you want people to do when they engage with that piece of your marketing, be it a web page, an email, a social media post. And sometimes we're guilty as business owners and marketers, and I see clients doing this all the time as this mistake becomes far more prevalent, is they offer too much and create confusion, or they create too much noise. And sometimes it may be that they're offering too much choice at the same time, asking for people to potentially say, here, look, here's product A, but also here's product B. And and of course that then creates people to go, well, what do you want me to look at? What should I be focusing my energy on? So that's that lack of most actual clarity. And they're often the two biggest reasons, not knowing who the customer really is and how to engage with them, but when you do engage with them, not having a huge clarity in your message.
I remember, Lee, can't remember when it was, I think it was probably, 2 or 3 years ago, something like that. I came onto one of your workshops and you were talking about this MWA quite a bit at the time, the most wanted action. And I remember you had a website up on the screen, and it was what I call, a typical website. And it had, I think we counted something like 12 different calls to action on there. We were on the home page and you could click here and download that and watch the video and do this and do that and do the other. And, you were so right. It was like, well, what is my most wanted action? And certainly on that site and a few of the other sites that we looked at, it was all very, very confusing. So my question to you is, from a website point of view, what could or should the most wanted action be on, let's say, for example, on a homepage? How do we make it simple, so that, the bottom line is, as we all know, if you've got a website, what's it there for? Well, you could argue that it's like the hub of your marketing, the most important element. But I hear people saying so often, well, we've got a website, but we don't really try to win business on it. It's just a brochure site. And that to me is the biggest sort of load of bullshit, to be quite honest. What do they want? Do they, it's just an excuse for a website not working, I think. And so what would you say? What advice would you give to any listeners about creating this most wanted action and turning visitors into inquiries?
I mean, it's a great question. It's always the focus of most of my consultancy work with clients, trying to help them sharpen their conversion rates, really, with the traffic that they are getting. And I think it's important to realise that most wanted action is about conversion. That's what it's about. It's assuming that you've got a plan to get the traffic, but it's then a way that you leverage that and convert that into action. And it's also important to recognise that most wanted action applies really to everything in marketing. It's whatever you're sending out, be it an email, social post, landing page on website, homepage, etc. And you mentioned homepage specifically then. But of course, every key page on your website needs to have its own most wanted action, and quite often,
good point. Yeah.
You mentioned the homepage there as the thing, and of course, different companies will have different needs from their homepage, because for some companies, the homepage and the purpose, the objective of that homepage is there to help navigate people through a much larger site. Yeah. For example, if you've got an e-commerce store, or a store or for a company, a business-to-business type service business that offers many different possible services, the homepage is there as a gateway. It's a signpost to help people find things. So the most wanted action has to be that it's focusing on highlighting key promotions for that period, whether it's for that week or for that month. So e-commerce, that might be
making it easy,
or a sale item or something like that. Or something you want to direct traffic from the homepage, and it's about directing the traffic from the homepage to navigate it into a different part of the site.
Okay.
For other companies, it might be a service that they're wanting to focus on right now, a new promotion around that service or an offer around that service. So the homepage for a lot of companies has to be quite dynamic, or it needs to evolve regularly to suit the needs of the business at that time. And one of the mistakes that companies make is they have a far too static homepage, and it doesn't adjust to accommodate the promotions and campaigns that company might be running at that time. Because one thing we all need to remember is that digital marketing isn't all about digital. And it's an important thing for me to repeat, really. Digital marketing isn't all about digital, because we still speak to people. We still network with others, word of mouth from our clients, referral from others, bring in traffic to our homepage that we didn't send there. People obviously come into the homepage from search engines or from social media, and you might be doing promotions, outbound promotions, and pushing content out there through social and email and everything else. But if people are coming in your front door, they won't see those promotions. They won't know what it is that you're working with or offering at this time, or what your theme of the month is, or sale items, or new promotions and products are, etc. So you need to have a more dynamic view of the homepage, and the homepage needs to, certainly the top of the homepage, what we would call above the fold, and that's before people have to scroll down. Needs to contain things that change regularly and support campaigns that you're doing, even if those things are offline, because offline traffic does come online.
Sure,
It's for due diligence purposes.
Yeah, I think that's one of the mistakes that people make, isn't it? They go, right, okay, well, we're all digital now, we're online, but I think digital's great, as both you and I know, but when it's combined with offline as well, it's even more powerful. And I know things like training programs that you and I run, when they're online and offline, you giving people the option and marketing them in different ways is definitely one of the keys. Now, I know, one of the things with you, Lee, I know, is that you're very much, at the forefront of marketing. If something's new in the world of marketing, you're on the button, you're not one of these marketers that I see when, I was talking to a group of marketers the other day, and I was talking about remarketing or retargeting, as it's sometimes called. And there was at least half a dozen people in the room that were marketing managers and directors, and they didn't even know what I was talking about. And yet, I don't know how long that's been around, but it's quite some time now. It must be, over a year, 18 months, or even more?
Well, certainly in terms of some of the advanced areas of retargeting and remarketing that you can do in Facebook and LinkedIn, as well as on Google, to retarget your traffic. It's got certainly a lot more clever in the last couple of years.
Sure, yeah.
But the concept of retargeting is a lot older than that.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely quite right to highlight it, that far too many people either don't know about the concept of remarketing or retargeting, and even those that do are doing very little with it. I mean, I call that type of marketing champagne marketing on a beer budget. Because
I like that term. That's good.
Impression and results you get from that kind of strategy online. Is completely transformational for most businesses.
Do you want to just tell? Because I think there'll be some people now thinking, "What's remarketing? What are they on about?" Do you want to just in sort of layman's terms, just explain to people what it is?
We've all experienced remarketing. We probably just didn't realise how it worked.
Yeah.
If I put it again, winding the clock back into a traditional sense and going back pre-digital, because I always like to think about digital and non-digital together. If we think pre-digital, though, so before even FreeServe and AOL were on the scene with their CD-ROMs through our letterboxes, if we think before then, we would follow a bus in a car, in our own car, following a bus down a high street in any town. And on the back of the bus, there would be an advert, probably for a bank. The bus would stop at a bus stop, and on the side of the bus stop, there would be an advert, probably for the same bank. You then follow past a phone box, and the advert would be on the side of the phone box. If there's traffic lights, there'd be a billboard on the pub at the traffic lights that's 50 foot wide. It would be an advert for the same bank. And the principle there was around the idea that reinforcement of a message over a period of time and clustering of adverts for an offer, and that whole seeing the same message with high frequency makes a difference in marketing. And it's absolutely true. And it's as old as the hills, but in a digital sense, we can do the same, but without having to spend a fortune on bus adverts and phone box adverts and traffic light billboard adverts. And for most companies, remarketing costs about £10 a week. Obviously, if you've got a lot of traffic, that will increase that figure. But as an average, it's not an expensive strategy on a per week basis. And how it works is, when a visitor goes onto your website, they're tracked via a cookie. Now, I need to say now in this world that cookie is completely GDPR compliant, because it doesn't identify the individual at any real level, but it does identify that they visited something. And the cookie means then that their visit is tracked, and all of your visitors, let's say you've got 100 visitors to a particular website in a week, let's keep the numbers really easy to work with. Those 100 visitors within a week, on average, 99 of them probably did nothing. In other words, they didn't fill in a form to contact you, they didn't buy anything, they left the website. So, 1 in 100 may have done something, but certainly 99 in 100 didn't. And that's quite normal for most web traffic. That's the reality. 99% of the traffic you get does nothing. So remarketing, and the purpose of it is to target the 99, not the one that you might have already engaged. It allows you a second chance. It allows you the opportunity to keep talking to those people through adverts, pushing messages out to try and draw them back, to remind them of your business, your brand, your logo, to build up trust. The concept of knowing, liking, and trust is something that creates buying in marketing, and knowing is the first stage of that. But to go from know to like, you've got to create that reinforcement in the early stages. So remarketing can really help in that area as well. And in a digital sense, what happens once that person's tracked is then, as an advertiser, we can show adverts on other websites, third-party websites, and the only people that will see those adverts will be the 99 people that we perhaps didn't convert in that week that we got them there. And of course, then if the same thing happened the following week, the week after that, the week after that, the week after that, for 5 consecutive weeks, we'd have a list of about 495 people or so that did nothing, and 5 that did in a 5-week period. Well, the remarketing means we can go out to the 495, and those adverts would only be seen by those 495, not by everybody, and the ads would show on the likes of YouTube clips at the start of YouTube, not those videos, preview videos that last for a few seconds, but a banner ad on the start of a YouTube clip. It can show on a newspaper website, or on eBay, or on if you're doing Facebook or LinkedIn retargeting, well, they're using Facebook or LinkedIn. So those people are then reminded about you, your business, your brand, your offer. And it can be brand level ads where you're just reminding them of the company name and what you do in a top level message. Or it could be, as e-commerce retailers would do, very product specific. So if you were looking at a pair of shoes last week and didn't buy them, you'd see the advert.
Yeah. We all see that all the time, don't we? Yeah. Amazon and Masters at it, aren't they?
Absolutely. And if you go on to some of the big high street retailers shopping for presents for people and don't buy them, you'll start to see adverts for things that you were looking at. Yeah. Browsing holidays.
Absolutely.
Destinations.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is brilliant about it, Lee, because I get a lot of this, because we're doing this, and I get people, clients and prospects and people that I know saying to me things like, "Oh, Steve, you must be doing so well. You must be, doing amazing, because I see your adverts everywhere. I saw your advertising on the Times newspaper advert. And the other day, I had one client in particular who was in Leicester, told me that I was advertising on his local golf club's website even. He said, I couldn't believe it. Why are you advertising on our golf club website? I'm literally, for the people who've been to our website, the perception is I'm everywhere. So the perception is that my company's hugely successful, because why wouldn't it be if Steve's paying for these adverts all over the place? And so they're, as well as hopefully creating more leads from the 99 people who I hopefully get back to my website, even if they don't click on the advertising, the sense of awareness is fantastic, and it certainly helped me, I think, improve the perception of me through remarketing.
It's why I refer to it as champagne marketing.
Yeah.
Not the impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Impression and the perception is the word used.
Yeah.
Was a direct result of spending tenner every week.
Yeah.
Massive. And it's always been my view that every business should be running remarketing. If you're not,
why wouldn't you?
You're making a huge mistake.
Yeah, it costs you next to nothing as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you only pay when people click. So it's for me, it's a no-brainer.
you're not paying with remarketing for the visibility.
No.
No, that visibility could be 15, 20,000 ads.
Yeah.
You only pay for the time that someone clicks on that ad, which might be once or twice, or 3 times.
Yeah.
That's why it's low cost.
Yeah.
But it's high impact.
Yeah. So if you got, say, 5,000 people visiting your website over a period of time, you could show your advert, let's say 8 times to those 5,000 people. You're only, again, going to get a small amount of conversion from that. But the awareness, the number of people that actually see your ad is phenomenal, isn't it? So
the value often, Steve, is more in that visibility and awareness.
Yeah, I agree. That is in the odd one person who clicks and goes back. Yeah, I agree. So, we could no doubt be talking for hours, Lee, to be honest, or even days, you and I. But just to sort of come slightly towards the end, what would be your top 3 tips for people? People who are listening today, they're, typically small business owners. They feel as though generally they've tried this and tried that. And, one of my sayings is, it's probably not that you're doing the wrong marketing, but you're doing the right marketing, but in the wrong way. So what would your, top 3 tips be to help small business owners to improve the effectiveness, the lead generation of their marketing?
I think, there's definitely...
sorry, so I just interrupt. Apart from the first 2, which were great ones, which is the know your market, and the second one, I can't remember what the second one was now, Lee. What?
The MWA.
Yeah, the MWA. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Okay, so your next 3.
Yeah, the big things I would look at in that time is probably the importance of ensuring that your business ticks all of the foundation boxes. Now, I have a checklist that I work with, and I give people as download actually from my own site, which is a checklist for, have you got all these basics in place?
Oh, okay.
The basics are, again, it's common sense, but not common practice. Let's do them because they're simple to do and everybody should have done them, but very few businesses actually have.
Yeah.
And some of those basics are things like, making sure that you've got good, your Google presence around your Google business. So google.com/business, your Google My Business elements are set up right. So you've got good local marketing, you appear on Google Maps, and you can get reviews. And all of those areas, for me, would be a key area as part of the foundation. Another foundation factor would be that you've got a website, so it passes simple, easy to use mobile tests.
Yeah.
Especially modern world mobile.
Yeah, it's all mobile these days, isn't it? Yeah.
Mobile websites, and I don't like to use the language mobile friendly because it's a bit old hat. People still use it. I don't. I like to use mobile fit. What I mean by that is it's fit for purpose. So it's not that it just works. It's that it actually functions on a marketing level on the web when people are looking up from their phone. And because of course things get reordered or they go small, and you're asking them to fill out forms using big fat fingers on a small screen and that kind of stuff. And another foundation thing would be something like, making sure that your content is easy to read in that type of environment. Because if you've got big blocky paragraphs that no one's going to read anyway on a desktop computer, on a mobile phone, they're definitely not going to read it because it's just too text heavy. Uh-huh. So just some simple things. So there's a foundation thing there. And again, the checklist, I've got about 70 things on it.
Okay. How do people access that, Lee? Can they get hold of that?
Yeah, they can get hold of it. It's on my website, which is leegilbert.com.
Okay.
On leegilbert.com, when you go onto there for the first time, it's actually a most wanted action that pops up on the screen if you're using both phone and laptop, desktop,
Okay.
to download some checklists. But if you, for whatever reason, don't do it the first time, there's a little box at the bottom of every page to sign up for updates.
Okay.
Part of the onboarding sequence that I send in the first few days when you sign up, you get those checklists.
Right. Okay.
That's there. I guess so that'd be one tip. The second tip I would give is around social media, and that is pick one platform and do it well. Don't try and do all of the popular platforms.
Yeah.
Because you think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Great advice.
Good on LinkedIn, and if that means you don't do anything or very little on Facebook and Twitter, then fine. Have a strategy. I go back to my first mistake at the beginning of today, where I said, know your customer. And part of knowing your customer is what's the right social media platform for your customer. And there might be more than one, but in most instances, one will be likely to be more popular than another.
Yeah.
And when you're doing your social media marketing, prioritize your social media activity. Don't spread it thin. Do one and do it really well.
Yeah.
I guess the third tip I would give is around, something that I'm a passionate believer in, which is email and email marketing. For a start, don't discount email marketing. It's actually still one of the most effective marketing strategies you can have, despite the fact that it's one of the ones that's been around the longest.
Yeah.
Despite the fact we get lots of email every day.
Yeah.
From a results perspective of bang for buck, email will often outpull most of the strategies. So certainly do not discount it. But my tip around email marketing is, list health. Make sure you've got a good, clean list, and you validate and clean and verify that list on a regular basis. If you haven't got a list, of course, you're going to be building that from scratch or over time.
Yeah.
Then that's fine. Of course, there are ways of accelerating the way you can grow lists. Of course, there's lots of different ways of doing that. But you should always remember that list quality is far more important than list quantity. And part of quality is having the right people on the list, not just a load of other names. Part of the thing is about having a list that actually, when you send emails to it, get them and can read them. They deliver. They don't bounce. They're not invalid old email addresses and such like that. And the other area of it, of list quality, is that your open rate is good. We would always look to get 20% plus open rate on a list, because that determines that you've got an engaged list. If your open rate's 8, 10, 12%, then you might need to cleanse that list and remove some of the dead wood and focus on those that are engaged.
Yeah. Again, really good advice. I see, and I'm sure you do, Lee, when I work with customers and meet prospects and talk to businesses, everybody says, email marketing doesn't work anymore, and I get people say, well, I've tried email marketing. I said, really? How's it gone? It's just been a waste of time. I said, well, what have you done? They'll say, well, we sent an email out 3 months ago. It was a newsletter, and we haven't won any business at all, Steve. It's so obvious the problem there, isn't it?
Email it has to be seen as a lot of people don't like email in their list because they don't like people unsubscribing. Well, if you're not going to email them, they're never going to hear from them.
No. I love it when people unsubscribe, because I get rid of people who are not interested in me.
That's part of list hygiene that I was talking about. So you've got to see your unsubscribed as a positive thing.
Yeah. Why would I want to be emailing people who are not interested in what I do and how I can help them? There's not a great deal of value in that.
And emails, email marketing is not a one-off. It's got to be seen as a campaign. something that you might...
Definitely.
Even when you're going to run a campaign for a short period of time and you're thinking, well, it's for an event, let's say, or a webinar next week, or a new promotion for a product or service that's launching next week, whatever it is, don't just send one email, because that's not good enough. No. Even if you've got a 20% open rate, that means that 80% didn't even open it.
No.
Therefore, you need to look at either doing a second or a third email over a period of, say, 10 days. Yeah. Or, most platforms that you do email marketing through these days will allow you to send the email when you send it the second time to only those people that didn't open it the first time. So you can manage being overbearing by using the settings and the whole campaign. But no, sending one email and seeing that as job done is massive. Yeah. Seen as a sustained campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're sort of coming towards the end of the podcast today, Lee. So wanted to ask you if people are interested in you and how you could help them, be it one of your training courses, your done-for-you marketing, your advisory type work. What would their first action be? What do you want them to do?
Yeah, I think you've reminded people there, Steve, of the main thrust of what we offer. Yes, I do a consultancy work to sharpen up and create strategies, but my team, 14 people that manage campaigns for other companies, as well as my own, we do done for you marketing, where we effectively take on outsourced marketing from our clients. And I also do run live training courses, physical ones.
Been on many.
And usually at least once a month in various locations across the country, a few times in London and regionally. And then obviously I've also got online learning platforms as well to help people in various different marketing topics. But I've got a lot of free stuff as well. So I think the best and simplest way, Steve, as a most wanted action from this today, is if people go to my website, leegilbert.com, then, as I say, at the bottom of the page, there is a black section which allows you to sign up for free stuff and updates and new strategies that I share that I've learned in the last few weeks. And when you sign up, there are 5 emails you'll get over a period of about 10 days, giving you those checklists I spoke about, giving you some other content. And then, of course, whenever I'm doing an event, you'll get a notification of that and you can come along. Some of those events are free and some are paid for. But if you're also interested in the done-for-you marketing or my one-to-one help, then of course you can contact me via the website at leegilbert.com.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you ever so much. I don't know about you guys listening, but I just thought that was fantastic. Thank you, Lee, for your time today. Both Lee and myself have always, I think, throughout our marketing and business careers, been in the mindset of, let's demonstrate that we can help other people by actually helping other people. The oldest trick in the book sort of thing, and providing content and information and ideas is something that we do in various forms, be it online, offline, on podcast, on video, and so on and so forth. So I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Thank you ever so much for your time in listening to it. If you want to get in touch with Lee, then great. If you want to know more from me, then it's www.stevemills.co, and it'd be great to hear from you. Again, thank you ever so much, Lee. Thank you ever so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you again on my next podcast. Thank you very much.